everybody, my name is Katie Cooley and I'm from Advanced Academics, and today we're here to talk about CCMR. And I know you must be wondering, I think CCMR is a high school thing. Why are we talking about that in middle school? Don't they understand we're in middle school, we're just trying to get through the day with these kids? It's a little different down here. I agree with you 100%. I spent most of my career, 25 years in the middle school, mostly in 8th and 7th grade, and I understand and I feel your pain. But CCMR is a little bit different. CCMR stands for College, Career, and Military Readiness, and it now counts for 40% of our accountability as a district. That's almost half. So it's a big deal, because when TEA looks at our district for accountability, they don't just look at the middle schools separately, they look at GISD as a whole. So we're all a major piece in this big giant puzzle, and CCMR is a big part of that. So college, career, and military readiness, what is that and how do kids get it? College, career, military readiness is an indicator through the state of Texas that says that kids are ready for college, career, or military. And I know you must be thinking, same thing that I thought, well geez, college isn't for everybody, what are we doing? I keep hearing this term, college for all, and that's a term you're going to hear more and more across the state of Texas, and in fact, across the United States. But the definition of the word college has changed. We're moving to the European model, and in the European model, college means any sort of post-secondary education. In other words, if you're going to go train to be a welder, you're going to college. If you're going to go to ITT Technical Institute, you're going to college. If you're going to go to cosmetology school, you're going to college. So we're going to begin to hear the terms college for all across the state of Texas and the United States of America. University is the term that's going to be more a four-year institution where you're going to earn a four-year professional degree or higher. So we now have the terms college and university. Why did this change come about? Well, the change came about because in 2008, as you know, the housing market crashed, and with it our economy crashed in the state of Texas and around the surrounding states. Since that time, 11.6 million jobs have been created, and only 11.5 million of those were for people who had post-secondary education. Less than 80,000 jobs have been created since 2008 for people with zero post-secondary education. Zero jobs growth, that's considered zero jobs growth. And our world is changing. There are no longer jobs for people who have no post-secondary education. The big kicker came when a major corporation entertained the Dallas-Fort Worth area as their new headquarters and hub. And they looked at Dallas because we have an abundance of land, our land prices are very competitive, and our tax structures are actually very business-friendly, one of the most business-friendly tax structures in the United States. Yet, the corporation passed on DFW. The reason why they gave? Because they would have had to import 7,400 skilled laborers to take the positions that they were going to bring to our area. That was a wake-up call for everybody. Not just GISD, but Dallas ISD, and Allen ISD, and Frisco ISD, and Irving ISD, all of us were all in the same boat. And it was a wake-up call for Texas too. And that is why we have the new CCMR standard, which is 40%, almost half of our accountability as a district. So how does a child earn their CCMR indicator? There's actually several paths, but the path that we have chosen GISD as our main avenue, as our main conduit, is the PSAT-SAT path. Now, a child needs a CCMR indicator in both math and ELA, but since we're ELA, we're only going to talk about the ELA today. So to get the PSAT-SAT pass, a child needs to score a 480 on the reading and writing portion of the PSAT. Once they earn that, they get their CCMR indicator. We believe in GISD that about 60% of our kids overall, district-wide, can earn their CCMR indicator through this path. So this is our most widely chosen path. So that means that we're going to pay a lot more attention to things like PSAT data and SAT data, which is what we're going to do in just a minute. But that's not the only pathway. We have many other pathways because we know 60%, just over half of our kids, they're still 40% unaccounted for. So there's avenues for those kids too. The first avenue is called CBE, and this is a SPED pathway. This is actually career training for the SPED student, and once they go through successfully complete this program, they will have their CCMR indicator. We also have something called CTE. This is career technical education, and this one is tied to a certification. So when a child exits one of our CTE programs and has a certification at the end, they will earn their CCMR indicator. For example, at South Garland High School, we offer cosmetology. When those children end the cosmetology program, they earn a certificate. They can go out into the workplace and immediately begin cosmetology. That's a certification, and they would earn their CCMR indicator. Another way that we do this is the AP dual TSIA path. Now these kind of go together, and I'll explain why. The TSIA is a college entrance exam, okay? So we'll have the college entrance here. Once a child successfully passes the TSIA reading portion, they earn their CCMR indicator. The reason why it's coupled with DC and AP is that DC, dual credit, and AP, advanced placements, are two pathways where kids can earn their CCMR indicator. But each of these has a test attached to it. The AP test comes at the end of the program. The DC test is prior to entering. It's a gatekeeper test, and it's the TSIA. So in order to enter into a dual credit English course, a child must successfully pass the TSIA college entrance exam. So that's why these two really go together, because it would be impossible for someone to earn the DC credit indicator without having earned the TSI indicator. And we put all three of these together because a child who earns a 3 or better on the AP exam also earns their CCMR indicator. But it's important for middle school teachers to really understand these three entities and how they work, because the decisions made on whether or not children will go AP or DC is usually made in the 8th grade. And the truth is, most middle school teachers are so removed from this kind of stuff, they don't really understand what the programs are about. So I get asked all the time, well, which one should I recommend? Which one is the better? The truth is, neither is better or worse than the other. They're just different. And the very next question you should ask when a child asks you, should I go AP or DC, should be, what is your end game? What is your ultimate goal? Because that really depends on which avenue you would send them down. For example, if Chris Cannon came to me and she said, I need to know which is better for me. I'm going into high school and I need to know, should I go AP or DC? My next question would be, well, what's your end goal? Where do you want to go and what do you want to do? She's told me, just like a child at Naaman did, I want to go to Princeton. It's the only school. It's Ivy League or nothing for me. I'm working really hard. I'm on the golf team, and that's my avenue there, and that's all I want. For a child like that, my advice would be, oh, you definitely want to go AP. Now, Princeton's not going to take 1 credit of your AP hours and translate it to classes for class, because Princeton believes that when you earn a degree at Princeton, that degree needs to be earned at Princeton. However, you will not be competitive enough without the AP and the extra grade credit and all that stuff that goes with it to get into Princeton if you don't go that avenue. That would be my advice for that child. Then let's say Betty Leacock comes to me and says, what should I do? I said, where do you want to go? What's your end goal? I want to go to Texas A&M. Everybody in my family is an Aggie. I'm probably the 5th generation Aggie, and that's what I want to do. I want to be an Aggie. No matter what, I have to be an Aggie. Even if I have to go to community college first and transfer in, I've got to be an Aggie. I would say, well, you know what? Either one is a really good path for you. AP is going to make you highly competitive. However, dual credit at Texas A&M transfers credit for credit. So you could actually wipe out a good part of your freshman year at Texas A&M by taking dual credit courses, because they will transfer directly and exactly hour for hour. And so you could get a lot of your college paid for by GISD, because we offer these courses for free. So it really depends on what the child wants to do. If a child's talking out of state, dual credit may not be the best option, because dual credit credit hours don't necessarily transfer out of state. So it's really important to know where they're going. Private schools really don't accept either one of these. So it's kind of a moot point. Then it just becomes about how competitive the college is to get into. The more competitive the college is, the more we want to steer them AP. The less competitive, the more we want to steer them DC. And TSIA is a way to get into both. So that's CCMR indicator pathway 2. Then we have 2 categories that are self-reporting categories. The reason they're self-reporting is because we don't have a contract with either one of these entities, so we have no way to get information. The first one is military. If the child signs up and commits to be in the armed forces, they would earn their CCMR indicator. But we don't have a contract with the U.S. government, so we rely on the child coming to us and saying, hey, I enlisted in the military, and them bringing the paperwork for us to see. The other self-reporting category is the ACT. The ACT is a perfectly valid way to earn your CCMR indicator in the state of Texas, but we don't have a contract with ACT. In fact, our contract is with PSAT and SAT. So in order to earn the indicator for the ACT, the child needs to have at least a 1919 composite, a 1919 split, and a 24 composite. That means their overall composite score needs to be 24 or higher, and they need to have earned at least a 19.4 and a 19 on both the math and reading. So it's a little bit harder, in my opinion, to get it through the ACT than the SAT. Then our last pathway is called college prep. Now the college prep course is a course that we offer here in Garland ISD for free, $3.99, and it really is developmental English in college. So I don't know if you had any friends, because I know we're all English teachers here. Nobody in this class probably had to take developmental English, no way. So, but you probably had some friends, right? Developmental math?
Yep.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Freshman year college.
Developmental courses. Developmental courses are tricky because they're the only courses that colleges offer that are absolutely not paid for by any sort of grant, loan, federal money. Even scholarships won't pay for developmental courses because they're non-credit bearing courses and they're non-degree bearing courses. So this is a gatekeeper a lot of times to keep kids out of universities because they don't have that $2,000 to pay for these courses up front. So because of that, we offer this course for free in GISD so that they can get their developmental courses out of the way. And once they do that, they automatically earn their CCMR indicator. All they have to do is pass the course. That's it. So as you can see, there's many different pathways here in GISD for a student to earn their CCMR indicator. Now, why is this important? It's important because it's important for our community. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Broward County, Florida, but it's the 6th largest school district in the nation. They experienced something that we, all the people who are looking at the market now are predicting may happen here in Texas. We can only teach when we have students to teach, correct? And when housing markets rise, what happens to poorer people? They have to move away because they can't afford to live in the area anymore. Dallas is becoming one of those priced out areas where they have to move away. When we lose our student population, we don't have students to teach. Broward County had to lay off 400 teachers in one school year because they lost that much of their population when they experienced an economic phenomenon similar to what we are experiencing now. So we need to really work on student recruiting and retention. And one of the ways that we're doing this is by boosting the CCMR because that's going to boost these bigger companies to come here and to bring their business and to bring their jobs and their job base to our area. So it's not important just for the schools, it's important for a whole community. This really affects us all as a whole. So what are we going to do about it? Well, one thing we need to do about it, we need to look at our main pathway and our PSAT and SAT scores and where we're at and what our goals are and where we want to be. As you know, we've been a district that's been laser focused on the STAR test for many years, for as long as I can remember. And we did that because STAR made up 40% of our accountability. So STAR was way up here, and then all these other things comprised the other 60%, and we weren't really focused on those as much as we were STAR. But now this sucker over here is worth 40%, so it's balancing it out. But I have a little bit of more information for you, because there are some tests that will actually take the place of our STAR EOC. And by the way, what's the one and only way in the state of Texas where a student cannot earn their CCMR indicator? STAR EOC. However, there are some things on this side that will actually supplant or take the place of the STAR test. And that is PSAT scores, TSIA, and AP. If a student scores high enough on one of these three things, it will supplant or take the place of their STAR score. So what was now equal almost has a little bit of bump over here on our PSAT side. So we're starting to spend a lot of time looking at the data for PSAT and focusing on that as well. Now please don't misquote me, as one teacher did. One teacher went and told their administrator immediately, well, Bowen-Julio said that the STAR is not important anymore. The STAR test is just as important right now as it was before you walked in the door. In fact, it still counts for 40% of our accountability. So 40% and 40%, that's the same. That's not more important or less important. So what we're going to take a look at first is Jackson's one-pager, and this is the data for Jackson Middle School and what your data looks like. So if you take a look at the top left corner, you'll see GISD, SAT, SD. That's SAT school day. Last year's scores district-wide was 49.9%. This year's goal district-wide was 52%. So they take the same kind of formula when they look at just Jackson Middle School. So Jackson Middle School last year, as an 8th grade, scored 68.3%. RAD takes that number, puts it through a magical formula, and comes up with a goal for the following year, 70.39%. That's actually not a terrible jump, right? So usually for the formula, it comes up with about a 2 to 3 point jump for the goal. To find out how your school did, go down to this section right here, look at the green, we only look at the green, and your school did 73%. So not only did you meet your goal, you knocked your goal out of the park. And that's a real celebration and a real win. And it's something your administration needs to know, which I'm gonna send them when I send all the paperwork for you to do your data dive. That's something to really be proud of. There's only one small problem with that. RAD is not gonna take your 70.9% and put it through the magical formula now. They're gonna take this goal that you knocked it out of the park, 73%, and they're gonna run that through the magical formula. So your new goal is gonna be somewhere around 75 to 76%. So that's the only bad thing about knocking it out of the park and being at the top is that you gotta then, knock it out of the park and be awesome again. So it's a real win, and I really want us to celebrate this because this is quite an achievement. And not every single GISD had gains, so it's really something to be proud of. So give yourselves a pat on the back, pat your neighbor on the back, because that's really something to be proud of. So what are we gonna look at? Now we're gonna look at the questions and the data from the questions, because that is really where the meat and potatoes is, and it tells us how your students are doing at Jacksonville and what the issues are. So this next page you get has all the questions for the PSAT. Now, if you did this data dive with me with pre-AP earlier in the year, that data was only for your pre-AP kids. This is data for the entire school, because this goal isn't just for pre-AP kids, is it? It's for everybody. So this is on level and pre-AP too. I only have 2 copies of the test because it's 65 pages, so you should have to share with a neighbor. But I'll send all this to you electronically when you get ready to do your dive so that you can spend some time with it. But you'll notice the way that it's structured, you have the question number here, the correct answer is next, and then it tells you the stats for the school, the district, and the state. And then over here is where it has your answer choices. And then the next column tells you whether it's easy, medium, or hard. Now we want to spend our time in the beginning on the easy and medium questions. We don't want to waste time on the hard questions if our kids aren't getting the easy ones right. So let's focus on just that. The first one we're going to look at is number 5. Wow, okay, maybe not number 5. Number 5's been a go-to for every middle school that I've done so far, which I've done 13 of these, and it's been an issue. But look for number 5, you guys got 67% right. That means you guys are doing something right here at Jackson. But let's take a look at that question anyway, real quick, because I want you to notice something about the question. Number 5 says, which choice provides the best evidence to the answer for the previous question? That's something that our kids in GISD are not familiar with. It's called a question-dependent question. So here's the news. If kids got number 4 wrong, they have a 100% chance of getting number 5 wrong. 100% chance. So question-dependent questions are not something that we really practice within the classroom very often in GISD. Now your kids, they kind of knocked this out of the park. Almost 70% of your kids got it right. So we're not even going to focus on this. But I can tell you with absolute certainty that every other middle school, including Austin and Brandenburg, this was a question we had to focus on. So I'm kind of beaming with pride in little because that's pretty awesome.
But you look at 4 compared to 5 though. A lot of those kids that got 4 right that did not get the next one right.
That's true.
Of the kids.
That's true. And one thing you can notice when you look at the percentages, you can notice which distractor really got them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a look at number 6. It's a medium question. But you notice 59% of our kids got it correct, which is not a bad statistic. Anything over 50% is usually pretty good. Over 60% is even better. But which distractor really got them? It was D. So let's take a look at number 6, and let's take a look at that distractor and see if we can come up with a reason why kids at Jackson chose answer D. Which choice best describes how the narrator views the time he spends working in the office evaluating curls? We know instantly this is an inference question. We know that that's the number 1 missed skill on both PSAT and STAR, right? It's an issue. But then we look at answer D, and we look at the correct answer. And when you're in your data dive, you'll kind of have a discussion over why kids would choose D instead of the correct answer. What tricked them? So that's why this shaded information is so important, because it really tells you what they were thinking. Okay. Let's take a look at another question. Let's take a look at question number 11. And again, your school did pretty good on this one, to be honest, but this was one that was highly missed throughout the district, all schools, including Austin and Brandenburg. So I want you to take a look at the way that the question is asked here. It says, which choice best supports the conclusion that more choices can provide benefits to customers? but look at the format of this question. It has these parentheses and then these words with an ellipsis in there. So I actually took this test question to kids and I asked them, what did you think they were asking here? And the kids all said the same thing. We thought they were asking about those two words. They did not understand that they should have read all the words in between those two words. This is a format issue, not a skill issue. This is something that we just need to expose the kids to format-wise. Oh yeah, you do? Yes. Well, your kids also did, I told you, did better than the whole district on that one. So something right is going on here. I don't want to insult who I'm teaching because you guys are doing something right here, right? I mean, 70% overall and 73% is awesome and amazing, but you know, our district goal is like 80, 85%. So that's what we're going for at this school because you guys have a different population. But formatting is one thing we noticed. When you look at the skills for both tests, you look at the skills on STAR and the skills for PSAT, the skills are not different. They're the same. The number one missed skill on the PSAT, inferencing. Number one missed skill on STAR, inferencing. Number two missed skill on the PSAT, anyone want to guess? Vocabulary with context clues. Number two missed skill on STAR, vocabulary with context clues. The skills are not different, and you guys are obviously killing it on the skills because your kids are killing it on the test. But the formatting, question-dependent questions, this funky stuff here, that's something they probably have not been accustomed to. Another thing that we noticed was stamina and grit. So if you look at this column here where it says omit %, you're going to notice that it gets higher and higher right around question number 28. And that was district-wide. Our kids kind of petered out question number 28. No matter where you were, that number just starts to get higher and higher and higher. Yes, it goes from 0 to 13%, 21%, 22%, it just goes higher from there, 26, 29, 33, 35. Kids ran out of steam. But that brings us to a time issue. How much time do the kids have to take the STAR test? 4 hours. What's the longest amount of time on any section of the PSAT?
45? 40?
40, it's like 42 or 43 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 40 minutes compared to 4 hours. It's a time thing. So we've got to find ways to introduce time constraints in a safe way. It's not fair for all of us and for us to put grade-dependent activities with time because we're going to freak everybody out. You're going to be freaked out yourself because we're just not used to that in GISD. We're kind of, you know, a lazy Sunday attitude about because we want mastery for all and we give kids extra time and we want everybody to feel comfortable in their time space, which is nice. But for this test, we have to teach them how to take a different kind of test. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. We live in a testing society, don't we? All of you had to take several tests, even if we have permission to sit in this room with us today and be able to teach students. We take tests for a driver's license. We take tests. I had to take a test to be a cocktail waitress in the state of Texas because you can't pour alcohol or do anything like that in the state of Texas without having that license that says you can do that. And by the way, it was one of the hardest tests I ever took in my whole life. I had to take it twice. And I had several degrees and found college quite easy, but that test was really, really hard. So there's nothing wrong with teaching kids how to take different kinds of tests. This test is timed, the skills are the same, but it's a different atmosphere, it's a different format, and it's a different kind of test. But it's okay to teach them both. Now the good news for middle school, and the high school has to wait a year on this, but middle school, this is all coming to you in the new curriculum. New curriculum rolls out next year. You'll get it in your hands in August. We're going to have a training on it at the AP Day, so hopefully you all come to that for pre-AP. It's supposed to be at the on level, but again, that's not my lane, so I don't really know much about that. I can't speak to that, but Mary Shelton can. But I can tell you in the pre-AP, Chris is part of our writing team, we are going to have SAT connections in almost every lesson, and those SAT connections are going to look like this. You'll have your skill at the top. Let's say it's inferencing. On one side, it will say, this is what it looks like in PSAT format. This is what it looks like in STAR format, side by side, so both you and the kids can see how this skill is tested for each. So when you're in your PLCs, you'll take all this information, which I will send to you electronically, and you'll fill out an action plan. And the one thing I want to say before it's time to go, the action plans are getting looked at. Full disclosure and transparency. I've been in this district a long time. Usually we fill these things out, we never hear about them again. The ADs are looking at them. Scrutinizing is really the word. I've had to go back to 2 different schools and rework them. So if you want me to come to your PLC and work it with you, please put me on your books. I'm happy to come and work this through with you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.